I have long considered myself a devout feminist. And at age 61, I'm still learning what that means. As a middle-aged white male, I am embarrassed that one of my blind spots, one of my assumptions and growing edges has been, because of my lived privileged experience, that women will be available to serve my needs as a matter of course, whereas men will not. It makes me squirm just to say it. And it is something I'm working on. Who do you think is leading the assault on DEI programs? Privileged, middle-aged, or older white men. And why? Because they're greedy. And these programs challenge their privileges. Not to mention their deeply held biases and assumptions. The world needs more, not less, attention paid to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our worship theme this month is inclusion. But today's service was inspired by my own deep sense of betrayal. A sense of betrayal that I'm sure, but I'll check it out with you, most women, persons of color, and other marginalized people experience all the time. Am I right? I'm beginning to understand. I could not stay silent in the face of the dangerous and growing disloyalty and hypocrisy of political officials. Yes, most of whom are privileged older white men, serving their own or others' interests instead of the Constitution for which they took an oath to support, protect, and defend. Maybe you have felt this alarm and outrage as well. Is it a good sign or a bad sign when several U.S. Justice Department prosecutors resign after they've been ordered to break the law? Or when federal judges kick the can down the road for a conservative Supreme Court to decide such cases? I know that's how our system is set up, yes. But how can elected officials choose to serve a corrupt chief executive and the unelected wealthiest person in the world, rather than serve the Constitution and rule of law? Can they be stopped or held accountable to someone? The whole situation got me thinking about the people and places and principles to which I've dedicated myself, devoted myself, and have served over the years. And rather than give you my answers, I bring these questions to you. To whom or what do you pledge yourselves? Show your allegiance or devotion. How do you know? How do you demonstrate this on a daily basis? And how might that dedication change over time? How has it changed over your lifetime? It seems to me that our devotion necessarily begins because we are utterly helpless with the family or tribe into which we are born. Yeah? It then might evolve to our cohort, our school, our team, our spiritual community, our political party, our cult, even our nation. Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Some of us have the freedom or obligation to create and serve a family of our own. Some have the freedom to pursue higher education or a vocation. And some of us find that we have to do both just to survive. But then, whatever social groups we find ourselves serving, on another level, a deeper level, we also serve underlying principles and values that we've learned. So remember back to when you were a kid. What were some of the basic principles and values you were taught growing up? Shout them out and I will repeat them.
Play fair.
Play fair.
Share.
Share. Do unto others. Tell the truth.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Be nice.
Be nice.
If it's not yours, don't take it.
If it's not yours, don't take it.
Everyone gets a plate before anyone gets seconds.
Everyone gets a plate before they get seconds. Leave it better than you found it.
Protect from bullies.
Protect from bullies.
Be a friend to all.
Be a friend to all. Thank you.
Hug the dog.
Hug the dogs. All the dogs you can. Thank you. And then there's the whole complex miasma of philosophy and theology and spirituality and religiosity, those ways of making meaning and defining what it is we might or might not serve. And I'm not going to go there. That's huge. Unitarianism and universalism have long valued human rights, including the freedom and responsibility to make our own choices, and the necessity of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. As our chalice lighting words described, the flaming chalice began as a symbol of hope in a time of chaos, fear, and horror. It was created during World War II and adopted by the Unitarian Service Committee, which, among other things, helped Jews and others escape Nazi persecution. It was like an underground railroad. People would put a flaming chalice in their window as a safe space. We continue to look to that symbol today, in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage, to warm our souls and guide us home. In our prayer today, Reverend Krista Taves described how we gather to manifest, to make plain, the values and truths that we hold dear. We gather to seek transformation. We gather to cherish the bonds that hold us together. She described how freedom of conscience is a cornerstone of our tradition, and that free and responsible choice is at its heart. We are moral agents, she wrote, and our choices can demonstrate a sacred power of life that we have been entrusted with. You see, we could choose the path of fascism. We could choose xenophobia. We could choose bigotry or bald-faced racism. We could choose cruelty and greed. But we don't. At least not consciously, most of the time. We know these things are wrong. These things destroy more than they create. They divide more than they unify. They increase the distance between polarities and people. And we know about right from wrong, not just here, intellectually, but here too, through our lived experiences and our developed conscience. we Unitarian Universalists put our faith in, dedicate ourselves to, give our attention and effort to, try to serve time-tested, enduring principles and values. What are some of those principles and values by which you live today? Be fair. If you need a refresher, open up to the front of your gray hymnal, where our purposes and principles and sources reside. Who can name one of those principles or part of it? Take care of the earth. That's a paraphrase, but okay. Honor people's inherent worth and dignity. Yeah?
Democracy.
Support democracy in our congregations and worldwide.
Seek truth.
Seek truth
And justice.
and justice.
Compassion.
Have compassion. Yeah. The kind of next level things we learned as a child. Yeah. In our opening song, we sang of seeking peace for lands and peoples near and far. Why? Because there are hopes and dreams and beating hearts here and around the world, very much like our own, that deserve our curiosity, our respect, our reverence, even our protection. This is a conscious choice. In today's story, in the final game of the season, Tracy comes up to bat. She smoked that ball right up the middle and somehow found herself on the way to scoring a home run. And then it happened. No one had noticed the 12-year-old mutt 3 feet, 5 feet from the third base line. And as Tracy rounded third, the dog sat up, wagged its tail, and smiled. And Tracy stopped 30 feet from a home run. Tracy looked at the dog, then the crowd, then the dog, then her parents, then the dog. She had a choice to make. Would it be the joy and excitement of accomplishing something she'd never done before? Or would it be the unconditional love of a smiling dog? She chose the dog, perhaps as the devil she knew. In today's reading, a different child was told by her principal that showing patriotism meant wearing red, white, and blue, and she would be expected to. But she was a discerning child, one who had learned to value peace, among other things. She knew that peace was still possible, but had not yet been fully achieved. And so for her, this was only a pretty good country. Not worthy, perhaps, of a full display of red, white, and blue. She was proud and scared and questioning. Rather than succumb to administrative or peer pressure, her allegiance was to her conscience. She bravely chose to defy convention and to wear instead turquoise, pink, and beige. Brilliant. She chose to be a turquoise patriot. It was left unclear whether this child was aware of the risks, the wrath she might incur, how her symbols of ambivalence might be understood, misunderstood, or of the possibility that her choice might inspire confidence in others. Perhaps it was the devil she didn't know that was her choice. I'm fairly certain that Reverend Safford wrote her sermon, bits of which we heard, in response to the World Trade Center attack of 2001. And now it all makes sense. She continued, "It is a pretty good country. It is one of hundreds and hundreds of pretty good countries, filled with millions of pretty good and, believe it or not, proud and worthy people." Elsewhere in the sermon, she asked questions that are perhaps perennial and even prescient, every bit as relevant today as they were then. What really are we loyal to? What usefulness can come from nationalism as the world yields to a new century? It's not even the turn of the century, and it feels like it is. What is America's right relation and right role? What course is most likely to lead in the end to more security for everyone, more peace, more liberty, more justice for everyone in this one pretty good country and in all the others? Even as Reverend Safford, a lifelong U.S. citizen, felt like an alien, afraid that her words might betray the geography of her heart. Have you ever felt that way? Maybe I shouldn't speak. She felt called, even then, as does each of us, to minister with an open heart and mind to all who seek the truth in love, regardless of their history, no matter where their search has brought them, to hear them and to hold them and those truths of every searching soul among us. These truths, even though they may differ deeply from our own, I'm thinking of my neighbor. These truths are gifts. They may serve as our sacred text, she wrote. They can sharpen, soften, if we will let them refine our own values, our own truths. This magnificent experiment in pluralism is what Unitarian Universalism is all about. And it may be the hardest work we do. What really are you loyal to? What will you choose to serve? What colors will you wear? May we in days ahead continue to examine and challenge our own privileges, assumptions, and biases. May we, like the girls in our readings, choose love over accomplishment and continue to trust in the future, trust in the true, mature adults of the world, in whose clumsy hands rests our future too. May we harness our outrage toward those who would betray their oath of office and the well-being of our democracy. Amid the fear and loneliness of troubled times, may we continue to discover that we are not alone. May we feel the strength that has not yet vanished, continue to collect remnants of hope, discover what will save us, and together pledge allegiance to being peace and doing justice. May it be so. And amen.